So next on the effects, we have Lattice, and this is what some of the effects that you can get. Okay, this is a cross hatch lattice, and this is inverse, and this is horizontal only. This is inverse. It you can see what it does here, right? This one, it fills in the squares but eliminates the lines. This one here fills in the bigger spaces and eliminates the thinner lines. And then this one is vertical and vertical. Now this has a rotation to it, which you can do to any of these. So I have a square down here. Let's go ahead and show some effects here. Alright, so this box is going to pop up. Now you have lines normal, horizontal only, or vertical only. You have the width, the gap, and the angles, and the rotate. And then you have inverse. So for normal, if I were to increase this and preview, you can see how thick my lines got. Okay, if I go down to, let's say, 0.050 and preview, you can see how that changes. Okay, and then you can increase the gap. You can use these sliders, preview. Let me go ahead and bump this back up to maybe 100. 0.100. Okay, and then we have the angle, so we can change the angle of it. Right, and then we have rotate, and then we have the inverse. Right, and you can do that for all, horizontal only and vertical only. So there's a lot of different looks that you can come up with. So one more thing I wanted to show you was, let me go ahead and grab a circle here. And I'll actually select that and duplicate it. And this one I want to shrink down. And I'll also change the color on that. And then I will select both, go to my position and size, and line them up. Make sure both are selected, go to Object Merge, and then I want to bring in a dog paw. Not so sure that's the best one because this is separated here. So let me delete that. And let me check out the library. Let me just go ahead and grab a heart here. Alright. And I want this to fit inside here. And I want it touching on both sides, as well as the bottom. Alright, I'll select that and center it up horizontally. I don't want to do vertically because it'll probably bring it up too high, and my bottom won't be touching here. So now, if I come here to Effects, Lattice, and I'll just go ahead and do the normal. If I select that, then you can see that I have, let me zoom in here. You can see that I have these lines that are overlapping on the outside, okay? And those lines are all connected. So you would weed out all these little squares, but then you would have that lattice effect still there. However, if I do the lattice and I click inverse, then what's going to happen is if I go to my cut lines, you can see that this is the only one. Maybe this one will be hanging on to the outer circle, but all of these are not going to be there, because once you pull up your circle, the only thing you're going to have is what is connected here, right? And over here. So you definitely don't want to do the inverse for something like that. Just leave that unchecked and you'll be good to go. All right. Because I forgot union earlier, I wanted to go ahead and show you what happens when you union. Now, it turned these blue. I can turn them back to red if that's what I choose to have. But this is the regular lattice, and this one was the inverse, okay? So if I go to my cut lines, after they have been unioned, you'll see that these are connected. So because it has those lines in this one that is not inversed, then when you pull your circle up, this heart's going to come up as well. Not these little boxes, but the lines will. Okay? If you do this one, then the only thing that's connected are these three and these three. So when you pull your circle up, all of these are going to be left on your mat. All right? So I forgot to union earlier, and I'm sorry about that. I guess I was trying to get through the video, but yeah, that's what happens with the inverse. So if you're connecting something to an outer shape, you do not want to use the inverse, okay? So the line fill is good for engraving. You can add a line fill so that it engraves closer and fills in your object. If you've ever engraved before, you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's go to line fill, and then we have these options here. I can auto preview, keep original outline, and then so with an engraving tool, if you don't have any lines on the inside here, you just have the silhouette and the outline, that's all it's going to engrave. But with the line fill, you can set it to where it engraves all these lines and gives you a more filled in object, if that makes sense. But you can change the angle. You can have a crosshatch, which is really going to fill it in, but this will take a long time to engrave, especially depending on the size. Like if this is even a 3x3, that's going to take a long time, but it will fill it in more, you know, than just having the outline, right? So play around with that. Next on the effects menu, we have nest. So basically what that does is it will take whatever you have selected or all your objects on your mat and arrange them to fit the mat best to save material. Okay, let me just go ahead and show you. So let's go to Effects, Nest. And you don't have to have anything selected, but if you do have a bunch of stuff on your page and you only want certain things to nest, then just select them and make sure that you tick this selection only box down here. I have a 12x12 piece of vinyl and I want to save as much vinyl as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and leave everything the way it is and see how it rearranges my pieces. I will tell you that the higher you do the max rotations and the higher you do fit threshold, the longer it's going to take your computer to get them arranged, and it could crash the software depending on how fast your computer is. So I'm going to just go ahead and leave everything the way that it is, and I'm going to click OK. And you'll see it does take a minute. There we go. It just rearranged everything to save material. All right. So it's kind of like in Design Space, if you don't attach stuff where it will stay how it looks on your mat, it will spread them all out on the mat once you click, make it. So this is kind of what Nest does if you don't attach things in Design Space. All right.